I joined Tinubus 17 years ago. Tinubu is a software editor specialized in credit insurance, short-term, medium-term. Before that, I worked with Euler Hermes for 15 years, so I've been in the industry for something like 30 years. So we got a good expertise in the craft of our customers, and we have been developing the system now for 20 years. So that's why we were here attending to this meeting, which is very interesting, where most of our customers might be present and future customers are here too. What we've seen and what we discussed yesterday is that the pandemic was the second big crisis, kind of a systemic one after the financial one 12 years ago. There's been kind of a pause for all the industry because the government entered the market supporting the insurers, but finally the customers, the policyholders and the corporate. And we've seen that going and having the support, the insurer was safe regarding the claims. And 22-23 is back to normal situation in a way in terms of business, routine, but with expectation on claims and risk, which are, as you say, very volatile. The war is not finished. We have a 1-year anniversary, which is not very, very funny. The expectation is that inflation, depression might come from everywhere, and everything related to pandemic is not totally over, because so the risks are there. And the insurers during this pause found out that they had to be ready to face and to cope with a new crisis. So they invest, and digitalization, which was a buzzword, became more pregnant, and it was something that the companies had to invest in for different reasons. First of all, because that's a trend. Insurance was a bit behind the financial institutions, banks, and also the ECA were forced to deal with the short-term activity pushed by the government for support of the economy. So they thought about it. Some were ready, but very few. We have some customers today which are ECAs and invested 10 years ago, but most of them are just in the trade, in progress, thinking about it and go for it. So that's the big change, I think. It's a heavy and in-depth trend, which is like the life of everybody was changed by the pandemic. I will give you two examples. One was during the crisis. Our customer came back to us because we are, of course, supporting and maintaining the system. So we did that in urgency. We were able to help them to upload some new limits decision. We were able to help them to fine-tune some of their product. We were just changed a bit very, very fast to cope with this new situation. And on another more, we'll say, medium-term way, after the big storm, you have the new entrants coming in who saw that there were some needs were not covered during the pandemic and afterwards, where the capacity was needed, and not much capacity from the reinsurance, but capacity in terms of product to be closer to the requirements, the new requirements of the customer. So we have helped and support a new entrant in Europe who was coming from scratch, supported by people of the business, reinsurers and insurers. And also we have more and more requirements and requests from our customers to go for upgrade procedures for more systematic and more easy way of handling the policy. The problem of credit insurance is that the policy is a bit difficult to handle for a customer compared to non-life insurance, where you see the insurer, you get your quotes, you get the policy, and you wait for the claim, and then you see again the insurer. Credit insurance, especially the short term, is a management on a daily basis. You have contact with the insurer every day for the limits, for the checks to be received, for the claims. So that's a very heavy management for the policyholder. And at the end of the day, the main target, and that's something we discussed yesterday, the buzzword today and the main matter is how to provide insurance, which might be the support or the asset to get finance for the SMEs. And SMEs are not equipped to spend their time to check that the period time, the commitment of the policy are there. They want something easy and the insurer has to provide the policy holder something easy to be handled and managed, to be sure it's a success, and they will come and take the insurance. And we work on there to support the design and to implement the design of this new product in the system. Today, clearly, we are supporting the insurer and I would say the backbone system to do that. We've seen, and that's something we discussed yesterday also during the panel, we've seen more and more platform projects where you have all the states of the receivable order to final financing. And I think that partnership will be needed because it's high technology, high investment, and like every technique, we will need a standardization or group of major stakeholders to push the project. Today, what we see as the solution, the software solution, through our customer, the insurer, they receive requests from their customers, policyholders, to go for one platform or another. They come to the insurance, say, okay, I got already the platform, behind there's a bank, I want you to connect with it, can you do it? They can. Technically, with APIs and things like that, communication integration is much easier than in the past. But the problem is, if every single big corporate will have the weight to leverage the insurer to accept it, it's always a different platform. Each corporate has its own. So if you multiply the project, the insurer is facing a situation where basically he has to invest every time a setup and fine-tuning with every single different thing. And it's impossible. They can't do it, they don't have the time, they don't have the money, and in terms of economy of scales and efficiency, there's nothing there. So I think that the big challenge for the industry, fintech, insurtech, and the insurers, is to build up, and that's going to be very difficult, something standard, aggregate the different stakeholders with the banks. And you know, banks and insurers are two animals which live together, but they don't have the same background, the same philosophy, so it's going to be very tough. That's a big challenge, and the result and the goal and the benefit will be for the MSMEs. So meanwhile, we're still, it's a DIY most of the time, and the industrialization of this platform is a long road. Everybody will work on it. Nobody will be able to do it on his own. Yeah. So the partnership will be needed, obviously, but that's going to be tough. I think that short term is even worse than structured finance. Structured finance, you're talking to people who are well educated, where the needs are so high that you have specialists dealing with it. Trade credit, normally the basis of the clientele of the insurers are SMEs and mid-cap, where the technique is not known. The product is an old-timer, it's 100 years now, because it was between the two world wars, created in Belgium and France. So nothing changed on the product, the basic. What changed is all the techniques and tools around. The portals, the communication with the customer, with the broker, the automation of the processes. And then you fine-tune on the fringe new products which are more sexy or more efficient or more easy to handle, but it's very difficult. And that was our big debate yesterday, how to push this education. ECISA and Union are doing this. They do an utmost work about it for their members and around. But you just can feel, and the perception is still that credit insurance is on the side. It's helpful sometimes when you have the bars, the 3, 4, and the future one. It's nice to pass the risk on it, but they are not on the table to discuss the real matters because they are not taken seriously. And I think that's something that was a very personal idea and position. I think that when the government came so fast to support the credit insurers, they were there to support the exporters. The back stuff, yeah. But the problem is that it shows to the opinion that the trade credit business is not self-conscious of and is not easy with his capacity and was a bit afraid, whereas they are doing a lot of things. They are very central and very important to the soundness of the economy and the trade everywhere. Yeah. So they're a bit shy, I would say, to show that they can do it on their own. And the fact that the government comes very fast, I think it was not a good move to enhance and to promote the trade credit. So I think that in the future, the industry should be stronger and show out that they are able to do a great business, because that's what they do, and they will have to lobby and to educate. That's going to be also a very long process.
Yeah.
But hopefully the results are there, so maybe it's sold by itself. We'll see.
Thank you, Mark. And I think I'll summarize this by 3 words: innovation, collaboration, and education.
Exactly.
Such a pleasure having you.
It was a pleasure to see you. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.